Big football news this past week. Could PJ Walker return to the XFL in 2023 after the Carolina Panthers traded for Baker Mayfield? So when the XFL shut down in 2020 due to you know what, one of the top quarterbacks in the league, undoubtedly the unofficial MVP of the league, everyone wondered what NFL team would sign PJ Walker. It only took 13 days after the league suspended operations and let players out of their contracts to sign with an NFL team. The Carolina Panthers announced they had signed PJ Walker to a 2-year contract, which was just no surprise on the relationship that PJ Walker and head coach Matt Rhule had during PJ's time at Temple, where PJ would lead them for 2 seasons, finishing 10-4, tying the record at Temple for the most wins in history and also becoming Temple's all-time pass leader, throwing 10,000 yards and 74 touchdowns, finishing 10-4. I think he played more games than 14 games. I don't know. The Panthers organization jumped on the opportunity to bring P.J. Walker after a stunning XFL season where he started all 5 games and led the Houston Roughnecks to an undefeated 5-0. P.J. Walker would go on to play 8 games total and start 2 of them, which all of us XFL nerds are super happy about. Winning both NFL games he started, continuing his undefeated streak as a starter between the XFL and NFL. Hello? In those 8 games, P.J. Walker would throw for 57 completions out of 100 attempts, 568 yards, a touchdown, 6 interceptions. That doesn't look good. P.J. Walker is currently part of the 4 quarterbacks signed to the Carolina Panthers after the trade of Baker Mayfield to the Carolina Panthers. So with Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, rookie Matt Corral, which they drafted, Davis, Sheik, and of course P.J., unless the relationship with Matt Rhule is so strong that PJ stays on their practice squad, wouldn't be surprised to see him get cut after training camp despite the 1-year extension being signed back in January, and gets an invite to the XFL. That's if he gets picked up by some other NFL team. Recently, the XFL mentioned that the league would be a quarterback league again. This instantly makes us believe the XFL will be keeping an eye on PJ and possibly try to get him signed if he doesn't sign with another team. While I feel like PJ deserves more of a chance not sitting behind Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold, don't see any scenario where he would be signed and brought into an NFL team as their starter, let alone as their backup at this point. We saw something similar happen when former St. Louis Battlehawks quarterback Jordan Ta'amu, who made the rounds around the NFL after the XFL shut down, going from the Chiefs to the Lions, the Washington football team, and to the Panthers. They didn't ultimately be cut and end up drafted in the USFL, played for the Tampa Bay Bandits, and started 10 games, throwing for 2,000 yards, 174 completions out of 302, and 14 touchdowns. It could easily be the same scenario for P.J. Walker, where he's basically might get bounced around a little bit and then eventually settle down in the XFL again. Because remember, I mean, he's got 1 touchdown and 6 interceptions. That doesn't look that great for him. So we'll see with that. Now, he fit perfectly in Houston, and if the XFL in 2022 does the same setup as they did in 2020, where they assign the quarterbacks to each team, very early predictions that we see P.J. Walker end up in Seattle this time around with Jim Haslett and his former head coach, June Jones, from Houston, who is Haslett's offensive coordinator in Seattle from the rumors. Well, we have that about what the location is. We all know. We've talked about the cities. They just haven't announced it yet. I'm not sure how Houston fans would feel about PJ potentially being in Seattle. But do you want to see PJ Walker come MVPJ back in the XFL? We all do. We all hope that he would continue to stay in the NFL. It gives us a chance to watch other games. I mean, the Panthers aren't that good. And PJ Walker, maybe he's the third stringer, and he holds out a little bit and maybe stays on. So something that we're going to have to watch as the NFL season approaches.